Look at this chart. That massive gap represents 122 million Americans living in mental health shortage areas right now. By 2037, federal projections show we will be short 88,000 counselors. Demand is outpacing supply 4.5 to 1. You cannot hire your way out of a deficit this large. The human beings simply do not exist. Graduate programs and licensure boards cannot scale fast enough to meet this wave of demand. Into that massive vacuum stepped general consumer chatbots. These products were built for entertainment and productivity, but millions of people started using them as therapists, operating entirely without clinical supervision. Consumer chatbots failed during medical crises, and teenagers died by suicide after relying on these unsupervised AI companions. When patients in desperate need of care encounter unregulated consumer technology instead of a licensed professional, the result is profound human tragedy. State lawmakers saw this and reacted swiftly.
Illinois passed the Whopper Act. Nevada passed Assembly Bill 406, and Tennessee signed Senate Bill 837. These state laws completely bar autonomous AI from providing mental health care. The legislative intent here is entirely correct. The harm record from unsupervised chatbots is heavily documented, and those lawmakers were right to take immediate action to protect vulnerable patients. But broad drafting is fast drafting. In their rush to build a wall against dangerous consumer products, legislators cast a net so wide that it caught things it was never meant to stop. On the exact same calendar that those state bans were being drafted, the medical field was publishing the most rigorous peer-reviewed evidence for clinical AI it has ever produced. The Therabot clinical trial, published in the New England Journal of Medicine AI, showed patients experienced a 51% reduction in depression. We face two separate categories. The clinical track uses registered trials and licensed oversight. The consumer track relies only on a terms of service. The new state laws make a critical drafting error by refusing to distinguish between the two. They place a peer-reviewed clinical tool and an unregulated role-play bot into the same legal category. Because the big consumer tech companies never register their bots as medical devices, they sidestep the new laws using simple wellness disclaimers. Meanwhile, the companies doing the hard work to build safe, supervised clinical tools hit a legal brick wall. The bad actors set the ceiling, and the good actors pay the bill. The statutes written to protect patients are actively blocking the deployment of the exact evidence-based systems designed to treat them. The laws assume that clinical AI means a single autonomous robot left entirely alone in a room with a patient. That is not how legitimate medical AI is designed. This diagram illustrates the supervised clinic model. One licensed human clinician oversees a larger staff of AI clinicians handling daily patient check-ins. The human therapist is permanently in the loop. They review audit logs and intervene immediately the moment an AI detects a crisis escalation. We already do this. It is the exact same safety structure used in community mental health centers, where a medical director supervises 30 human therapists. We are simply applying the existing standard of care to technology that can handle the volume. This map highlights the 38 participating states in the Counseling Compact. Under this agreement, a counselor licensed in one member state has the privilege to practice across all the others without needing to apply for a second license. When you combine that interstate license portability with a supervised AI staff, the math finally works. One compact licensed human can oversee AI sessions across 30 states, closing the massive workforce deficit. But a logistical collision is happening at the state level. Utah created a safe harbor for clinical AI, while an Illinois law bans it entirely. The infrastructure to deliver clinical care at scale already exists, but a fractured landscape of contradictory state regulations threatens to paralyze it completely. The central failure of current legislation is that it relies on a strict binary. The law assumes a service is either traditional therapy delivered by a human, or it is not therapy at all. Lawmakers need to write a third category into the statutes. We need a legal framework specifically defined for therapy delivered by an AI clinical staff operating under continuous licensed human supervision. The licensed human therapist must always remain in the loop. That is the non-negotiable safety standard that prevents the tragedies caused by unregulated tech. To reach the millions of Americans trapped in the mental health shortage, we do not need to remove the human from the room. We just need to make the loop vastly bigger.